I read a lot of contemporary romance this month. Alright, first let's talk about Landline by Rainbow Rowell. This is technically contemporary romance, but there are no explicit sex scenes in this book, so if that sort of thing kind of makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to worry about that here. It's about a TV writer whose marriage is on the rocks, and then something a little mystical and a little magical happens. You know, I liked this. Rainbow Rowell writes unique love stories, and this is no exception. Not as good as Fangirl, but still a good, solid book. Read it if you've already read and loved other Rainbow Rowell books, but it certainly should not be your first stop on the Rainbow Rowell tour. Trusty by Alice Clayton, the second in the contemporary romance cocktail series. The first book in this series is hilarious. I'm so not a big fan of the name of this second book, though. And I'm not a big fan of romance series that stay with the same main characters for books on end, as you either have to totally invalidate the implicit happily ever after from the ending of the first book, or, as is the case in this book, you end up with a sequel that is pleasant but somewhat lacking in action or drama. Still, Alice Clayton is a good writer, so I will read more of her stuff. Rescue My Heart, the third book in the Animal Magnetism series by Jill Shalvis, contemporary romance. This is the first Jill Shalvis series I started reading, I think, and it's set in my home state. Shout out to Idaho! These books center on an animal hospital and the various and sundry people somehow connected to it. In this one, we've got Adam, one of the brothers who owns the animal shelter. He's recovering from a tragic experience in the military, and he now does search and rescue. Plus, then we get Holly, whose father has gone missing in the Bitterroot Mountains. Commence plot. Okay, I have a slight problem with the geography in this book. At one point, one evening, they just decide to go on a date in Boise. They drive there and back in an evening. If they are indeed in the Bitterroot Mountains, they're at best a 4-hour drive from Boise, up to 8 hours. And the middle of Idaho isn't exactly the easiest drive. In fact, depending where you're at up there, to get to Boise, sometimes the best route can be through an entirely different state. Anyway, I'm sure you guys don't really care about my home state geography beefs, so let's talk about the actual book. I liked it. Parts of it felt a little throwaway, like Jill Shalvis felt she had to put them in there for conflict's sake, but she didn't really invest enough of the book's time into making them integral to the plots at all. Random ex-husband. But still, it's a lovely little read that makes your heart all bubbly when you're not feeling well, plus this series has cute animals, so enough said. Then I also read the fourth book in the series, Rumor Has It. This is about the brother to the female lead of the last book and her best friend. It's not the best of the series, but not horrible. Sweet Talk by Julie Garwood, the 10th book in the Buchanan-Renard contemporary romance suspense books. I can't believe I'm so far into this series, 10 books. There's a few books in this series which I love, and then some that are just meh. In this one, I don't know what happened. Some of the sentences were surprisingly clunky. I've never noticed this problem with Julie Garwood before. Maybe she was just having a bad book writing spell? I don't know. But you know, the characters were crafted endearingly enough that it inked itself into like territory, but it was a really close call. Just One of the Guys by Kristen Higgins, contemporary romance. I think I've actually read this one before, just forgot to mark it back when I was less than religious about doing so. Really isn't one that I would have chosen to reread. My main problem with this book is it spends so long in the angsty part of everything that the really sudden resolution isn't horribly believable. Plus, the motivations for the angst, at least on the male lead side, are kind of stupid and just kind of put out there in one line. Maybe if she tried to explain his motivations a tad bit more, I might have found them a bit more believable. I don't know. Not my favorite. Innocent Wife, Baby of Shame by Melanie Milbourne, contemporary romance. This is another entry for my next most ridiculously titled books I have ever read video. I saw that title and I had to read it. And I gotta say, this book lived up to everything that the title whispered in my ear that I should expect. It was wondrously overwrought, just a true work of melodramatic art. As the title implicates, there is an innocent wife, we'll see through a really convoluted turn of events, both she and her millionaire husband think she's cheated on him. So he throws her out, she thinks she deserves it, and then, again, as the title already indicates, I'm hardly spoiling anything here, people, it turns out she's pregnant, and neither of them can be sure who's the daddy. It's his. Some bad books are boring bad books. The bad books you want to search out and read are the bad books that are just pearly gems of tacky goodness, like reading an episode of Days of Our Lives or something. So if, like me, you're a fan of the much fun and laughter a bad book can bring into your life, this is a good bad book. Bon appetit.